Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about two of my favorite subjects, reeds and wine. Well, at least one of those two things is one of my favorite subjects actually. And it's just that it occurred to me that during this year of pandemic, those of us who teach, we have to do it on Zoom. The students have to learn about reed making on Zoom, and using charts and technology certainly makes much of that possible, more possible than ever. But we're looking at a lot of charts, and because of that, it got me thinking about something that I encountered recently. Because people more and more are talking about the transition, which is the part that connects the plateau to the tip of the reed. Let's back up a little bit. When I was a student in Boston in early 1990s, I was taught, and that seemed to be the prevailing terminology at the time, that the American reed scrape actually consists of basically three parts: the tip, the plateau, and the back. And fast forward to now, people seem to be, just in general, much more advanced technologically and in terms of reed making. People are making better reeds. They know much more about reed making, knife sharpening, gouging. And by the way, speaking about gouging, unless you have a good gouge, the rest of this video is absolutely irrelevant. Actually, the rest of your reed making time is going to be irrelevant, because the gouge really determines just about everything about the reed. Its quality, its pitch, its longevity, its vibration, and so much more. So really get yourself a good gouging machine, otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult. So getting back to talking about construction of the American reed scrape, the one crucial part that connects the plateau to the tip is a transition. And depending on which school you go to, sometimes it's called the ramp, sometimes it's called the slope, but it's the same thing. I heard a wonderful description of this, that it should resemble a wine bottle. And it got me thinking, wine, well, I know something about wine. And then immediately I had a question. Which wine bottle? Here in Northern California, most conversations lead to talking about wine anyway, so we know something about wine bottles. So I was wondering, which style wine bottle? A Bordeaux style bottle, like Cabernet Sauvignon, or a Burgundy style bottle, like Pinot Noir? So when we're speaking about the transition between the plateau to the tip, I'd like to think about two opposite and completely wrong ways of doing it. One is the over-defined tip. It creates the tip that's basically too thin. It results in a lot of chirpiness. It gives you a thin tone. It might give you a decent response, although it might not. And it's going to vibrate incorrectly against the plateau, which is much thicker, resulting in all kinds of problems. The other one is the pencil tip. In other words, when the plateau is blended so much into the tip that it's going to give you absolutely no stability, nothing to blow against. It's going to give you perhaps good response, but flatness, instability, and all kinds of problems. And perhaps it's possible to sound good on any of these reeds, but you're going to have to really work much harder, both your embouchure and your air production. So let's take a look at this Bordeaux style tip. This, to me, looks over-defined because the plateau begins so abruptly and there's so much to blow against that I don't think, with all due respect to Bordeaux, I love wines from Bordeaux, but I don't think the Bordeaux bottle is the way to go here. Aww. Here we have a wonderful Burgundy-style bottle from Alpha Omega in Napa. Look at the way the transition becomes the tip. There's a wonderful layered, terraced transition, ramp, slope, whatever you call it, how the plateau becomes the tip. Rather, if you go in this way, how it will engage the vibrations of the tip and something to blow against, stability, and then it becomes the plateau. I want to stress again just how much depends on the gouge, and of course on the quality of the cane, the scrape itself, and also depends on what you want that reed to do. Are you playing a Brahms symphony, in which case you're going to need a wonderful big broad tone, something to blow against, so you can play all these gorgeous lines in the second octave that extend sometimes into the third octave, like in the second movement of Brahms' First Symphony? Or are you playing La Scala di Seta, in which case you need fast, agile articulation and ease of response and vibration? So as much as I like this comparison to the bottle of wine, I think it's really important to know which bottle of wine you're referring to when making the transition from the plateau to the tip. Perhaps just as important as to know which bottle of wine to drink with which food. And in conclusion, even more importantly, of course, we spend so much time talking about reeds because they play such a crucial role in our lives as oboe players. But of course, the reed is what allows us to make a tone on the oboe, and the tone is just the beginning of what we do, and what we do with it is the purpose of being a musician. So enjoy reed making. Those of you who are old enough to drink, enjoy the wines. And thanks for watching.